This is Blocks to Flow, the space where learning, living, and leading return to alignment. Hosted by Kohila Sivas. Together we reconnect, restore, and rewire the missing link. Unlearn survival, relearn rhythm.
Coach Amy, I'm so excited to see you today on this call.
Thank you for having me, Kohila. I'm happy to be here.
Beautiful. So, Amy, when I start these interviews or chat, I always like to start with something that grounds the guest. So, for me, breathing does. Do you have anything that you can share with our listeners that you...
For me, breathing is always a great starting place. I do
favorite?
some very simple hand on heart, hand on belly breathing. I will often just breathe in and hold, and then I let it out real slow through my mouth. And I'll do that 3 times. I feel like 3 is a magic number, so I'll do 2 more times.
Let's do it. In,
Hold, and out. And then 1 more. Hold, and out.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Now, do you keep your feet on the floor? Is that important?
I do keep my feet on the floor.
Grounded?
Yeah, I feel like I'm instantly grounded, and I have a long-standing practice of meditation and breath work. So, I found what works for me. And, there's tons of breathing exercises out there you can do, but I find that simple is better.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to focus on your inhale and your exhale. And I like to actually think the words inhale, exhale, and it keeps me focused on what I'm doing.
Beautiful. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. So when you hear the word or the phrase blocks to flow, what comes to your mind first?
What comes to my mind first? I feel like there's so many areas where we are all feeling a block, and it can shift around. It changes over time. For me, something that comes to mind right away is my own parenting. I have been a single parent for about 8 years, and I got divorced when my son was just a toddler. And so my parenting journey has evolved quite a bit. And I had to go through some real survival time, like just trying to get through the day for several years. Those toddler years were tough. And for the first time, I had to put my son in full day preschool. He had been home with me for 3 years, night and day. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 3 years. I took a break from the classroom during that time, and so I had to go back to work full-time. It was very difficult. It's all a blur in my memory. I can barely remember even what happened. And I had to find my way through that, and I had to find my way beyond that place of just pure survival, running on adrenaline every day. And so blocks to flow, like there were just so many blocks in place for me. But over time, I found ways to slowly but surely release those blocks and find my rhythm and find my flow and find what works for me and my son in our life that I was rebuilding for us. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Working through your... So it's hard, right, for moms, right, who needs to go back to work. You shared a big problem for every woman who go through that step, right? So were you ever feeling, because we can share this, somebody might relate to this, were you ever feeling like you were making a choice between being with your son or like torn?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Every day. Every day when I dropped him off, I felt I wanted to not do that. It was so hard. And You know, there's so many factors at play too when women have to go back to work, married or not. And a lot of them are economic. You know, we have to have two parents working nowadays because there's just no other way to make it. And we have to leave our babies with someone else to do that. And that causes so much stress, so much despair for mother and child, the whole family. It just creates this level of stress, but we got to do it. And people have asked me, like, I don't know how you've done it. How do you do it? And I always say, I do it just the same as you do it. All of us moms are strong and we're powerful, and we do what we have to do because we just do. We just do it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a way to do it, I feel, that can be more peaceful. It can be more empowered instead of running on empty all the time. And it takes time and it takes practice and it takes effort to get there. But I think it's one of the most important things we can do as moms is to go through that process and show our children that we can live in peace and we can live in positivity and we can really embrace every part of ourselves, even those shadowy, dark places, which anyone who's been through a divorce knows, like you're going to deal with those things, right? You have to grow from that. But it's such an important lesson for our children to see us embrace ourselves and love ourselves and find our own flow and find our own rhythm and teach that to them by example.
Yeah. But during the time of going through it, a lot of us get into this really busy life. Life becomes busy. As you said, we forget to look after ourselves, right? After ours.
We do.
Yeah, until burnout hits.
Or we
Right.
get sick, or,
sick.
then you're forced to rest. You're forced to remove things from your life that don't need to be there because your body forces you to.
Yeah. So tell me, how did you find that? It's always work in progress, but how did you try to at least draw some boundaries?
I'm glad you said that it's a work in progress because there's not an end point. There's not a time where you reach and you're like, well, I'm cured, I'm healed, I'm totally fine. Nobody gets there. It's always a work in progress. For me, it's always taking time for myself, which is not something I was raised to do. I was not taught to do that. So I had to teach myself to do that, and I had to learn to be okay with it. Even if it was just 5 minutes on my meditation cushion or just a walk with the dog by myself, or even when I'm with my son, still seeing that as like finding the ways to support myself when he's right next to me as well. We have to still establish those boundaries and keep them so that we can protect our own energy. Because if we don't protect our energy, then we can't give either. And another thing for me that helps me is to find the joy, which sounds cliche. It sounds so simple, but it kind of really is that simple. I don't know if you're familiar with the whole idea of finding the glimmers. Have you heard that term? So it's kind of the opposite of triggers. So people the word trigger has become part of our regular vernacular now. I feel like a lot of people understand the word trigger. When you're triggered, you feel your nervous system kick up and you go into fight or flight or fawn or whatever it is that you go into to deal with the trigger. But glimmers are the opposite of that. So what are those little things in your day, those little things in your life that soothe you, that bring your nervous system back to balance, that spark that little bit of joy, that make you smile? And it sounds like the simplest, easiest, silliest thing, but those glimmers are what keep me going. Just little example, just today I went for a walk. I'm very lucky. I live next to a beautiful river. I get to walk next to the river every day. And it's fall here right now, so the leaves are turning. They're bright yellow, and there are these giant bright yellow leaves on the gravel path, and I listened to my feet crunching on the gravel, the rustle of the leaves as my dog was running and playing through the leaves, and that was a glimmer for me.
Yeah.
Just the little things.
Yes.
It's kind of like the practice of gratitude.
Yeah.
Some say that's the key to happiness, and I really kind of believe that.
And also, we're so busy thinking about the past
Mhm.
or projecting that into the future and producing something that we are never here, right? Like now
Right.
and here is
Right.
such a hard state for all of us. So that
Yes.
moment you just explained, you were there and there.
Right.
That's it.
And it's a practice.
Yes.
It's a practice. It takes practice to do. Once you start doing it, it just starts happening all the
You
time.
crave it. You
Yeah.
crave it.
And it becomes a lot easier. You see things that you never would have noticed before just because you've practiced.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So bringing ourselves now and here is
Mhm.
such a beautiful way to experience that joy.
It's everything. Because if you're in the past, you can't do anything about the past and you're stuck there. You can ruminate on that and you will not be happy. Or if you're stuck in the future and feeling anxious about what if this, what if that might happen, this might happen. And we all have that.
Of
We
course.
can, but when you get stuck there and you can't bring yourself back to here, that's when the unhappiness just kind of takes over. Your nervous system can't regulate. But when you're here right now, that's where the breathing is so good too. It
Yeah.
brings you right here. There's nowhere else you can be.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. I'm addicted to it.
Me too.
Being here and now is addiction.
It's a good addiction to have, Kohila.
So you work in the school system, right? You're an educator.
I do.
So, we are in our early 30s, 40s. We enter out of the education system. We enter the real world. And then in the 30s and 40s, there are a lot of people still developing themselves,
Yes, of course.
right? Through personal
course.
development, and believe some people even still believe at those ages or later, they believe they're broken, they're not capable, they're not enough.
Mhm.
Now, if we go into, because you and I know so much about the education, can we see that there's a missing link that has been missed in the education system itself that
Yes,
contributes to this path in the future?
absolutely. Yes, there's this missing piece where kids come into school and they're coming from all kinds of things happening at home and family life and whatever. And they come into school and they're just expected to perform and be ready and learn. But there's not that check in. There's no like, hey, how's your nervous system today? There's not that readiness of being able to even take in the information. I'm seeing an unreal amount of anxiety in the classroom, and it manifests in different ways. But so many children they're so like elevated all the time, and they cannot learn new things or analyze information or work with their peers or even sit and raise their hand to say something. They just blurt it out because
Mm.
it's like they got to do it right now. And it's almost impossible to teach the content in that kind of social emotional environment. So yeah, there's definitely a huge missing puzzle piece there.
Yeah, the readiness is definitely missing. So I always compare to a plane, right? Before the
Mhm.
plane even hits the runway, we got to make sure that all the systems in the plane is all working,
Good to go.
aligned, and activated.
We
So we hit
hope,
the
right?
runway. We hit the runway, and we're gonna take off. We don't start, after takeoff. We don't go, okay, maybe something's off here.
Right. Right. That would be a problem.
Yeah. So our students are same thing. We think they're accelerating and they're able to fly. We assume they're ready to fly, but they're not. Their
They're
systems are
not.
not in alignment. They're not
Right.
activated.
Right.
So we are a system made of different subsystems, and we got to make sure, are we okay to hit the runway?
Right. And there's so many pieces. There's so many pieces, and that readiness can be in place in one system, but not in another. And that's where the misalignment happens. And then we have, parents at home too, who are also feeling misaligned, and they're feeling unregulated. And so when, mom and dad are feeling this misalignment, and their child is feeling that misalignment, there's going to be all kinds of miscommunications and butting heads and arguments and misunderstandings and emotional mishaps, I'll call them. But it can be very challenging, very difficult for family
Explosive, right?
dynamic.
It's very explosive.
It can be very explosive, yeah.
Mm.
A lot of emotional things happen, then difficult to manage, because then you're constantly like, what do I do with this? And you're in that survival mode, and you're just trying to get through it.
Yeah.
And that's no way to live, honestly.
No, then we're in anxiety state all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yep.
And you're waiting for that
So,
other shoe to drop all the time.
yes, absolutely. So, what was the hardest part for you in terms of a pattern or a belief that you had to unlearn? And how did you move through it?
That's a really good question, because I feel like there's so many. For me, I've had to do a lot of work on my worthiness.
Mm.
Am I even enough? Can I do what I want to do? Because do I have what it takes? And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. A
So,
lot.
let's hold on to that. When do you think you started forming those, collecting facts and forming those statements that you were not enough, or
Long time ago.
years ago?
Long time ago. When I was little, you know. I had very highly educated parents with very high expectations, very intelligent people, and also they were a different generation. They were, my parents were activists in the 60s, and my dad was a scientist, my mom was an educator. And so there was a lot of fact, but also a lot of justice work happening. And I think that for me, it was like I needed to be on the right path and do things the right way. And if I didn't, then there were punishments, you know?
Mm.
Grades were very important in our family. The expectation was I perfection. That's how it felt. It may not have been the actual expectation, but that's how it felt growing up. And that builds over time, and it comes out in all kinds of different ways. And I could go on and on. I don't know how long you got, but I could go on and on about how it's manifested in me and my siblings in different ways. But we
Yes.
all grew up in that environment, and we all had to deal with that. So yeah, it started a long time ago, and
And how did
that's
it move into the
normal.
classroom? How did it move that into the classroom? Let's talk about in the school system then.
Oh, you mean for other children who grew up that way?
No, no, just yourself. Now you've had this expectation built at the school
Oh,
and at home.
yeah,
You have this environment already set up. Now you move
yeah,
into the school system.
right,
Kindergarten, grade 1, you move in.
right,
What would that do to that identity you created?
right. So when I went into the school system, school was a comfort zone for me in a lot of ways, because I could do the work and do it well. I could tick those boxes. As I got older, though, like into high school, I realize now that I actually had quite a bit of anxiety,
Hmm.
and I had social anxiety. I wanted to be in with the right people, but I didn't know how to do that. I also went to a very tiny elementary school, so going into high school was like culture shock. But school was not hard for me. So then school got hard, and I didn't know what to do. So that's when the anxiety started to kick in, and I became I was always a hard worker in a lot of ways, but when I got through high school and into college, I did nothing but work. Nothing but work. I worked and worked and worked. Kids go to college and party and have a good time. I did none of that. I took full loads of classes
Mm.
and I worked a job, 30 hours a week or something like that. I had zero social life, so my social development suffered as a young adult because I felt like I needed to meet these expectations, and if I wasn't perfect at it all and reaching those made up expectations, then there was something wrong with me. I wasn't enough. I wasn't performing. Right. I couldn't be enough if I didn't reach these educational milestones, if I didn't get this degree, that degree, whatever it was, which is not true. That doesn't define who you are. It didn't define who I am. And it took a long time for me to realize that, and I've since, I feel like, grown up and developed as a human being, since then, but college was very hard because of that. It took a while because then you feel like when you get out of college, you're a grown up. You should just know these things. You should
Yes.
just, like you
Somehow.
said, be that developed person.
Yeah. Somehow you should just come out
Right.
perfectly developed.
Right. And
In fact,
it's not like that.
but we all exit almost damaged.
We do. Yeah. The pressure is real.
Yeah. So that was hard for you to unlearn is the value how much you valued yourself against achievements. So the
Yes.
achievement equals my value.
Right. Right. And I wasn't taking good care of myself
Who
as a
cares?
result.
I just need to achieve.
Yeah. Right. And I was young and had the energy and was able to do that. But I burnt out really fast. And then I went into teaching. Which we talk about achievement and burnout. When I first started teaching, I got to work early and I was the last one to leave.
Because dedication, right?
Right. It gave me value
Yes.
as a person.
So
an
now that
educator.
you have found to be here and now
Mm-hmm.
and the joy of now, how does that alignment feel in your body compared to when you were on that survival and trying to prove to yourself, do more so you can be worth more?
Yeah. The difference is night and day. If you could imagine a hamster on a wheel going, constantly trying to get that prize, whatever it is, and then stepping off the wheel and finding stillness.
Hmm.
That stillness and that peace is something I did not experience as a young adult at all. And as a more developed adult, I'll call myself, I do have that peace. And it's real. And I can tap into it anytime I want.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's really hard.
Yes.
I'll be honest. But it's there, and I cultivated that myself, and I'm proud of that. And that is a huge part of my self-worth and value now. There's that, when you have that inner peace and that stillness inside, you can move through life in a more fluid way. I don't know how else to explain it, but you can kind of, with purpose, but more flexible, more, I like the word fluid. It feels right. Like you can kind of flow through life a little better.
Yes.
And there's that word flow again, right? Like
Yes.
that really is what it feels like.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So if your younger self could witness you now, what do you think they'd notice first?
Oh, I think she would notice that stillness. I think she would notice that peace. And also thinking about my younger self and how achievement oriented she was. Look at my achievements that I've accomplished since then, but maybe not all the academic and professional achievements, more the personal achievements. Like, oh, you did cultivate that all by yourself. You did the work. And look at you as a mom, because you can tap into that. You can teach your son to do that, and you can parent from that place. And that I feel like that's one of my greatest accomplishments. So I hope my younger self would recognize that.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah.
So if our listeners could take one simple step or an action closer to becoming in alignment so they can find flow, what would it be?
I think that earlier when I was talking about those glimmers,
Hmm.
I really think that's one of the best practices that anybody can do anytime. It doesn't require any training or special anything. If you can just look up. I'm a sky nerd also. I love the sky. I am always fascinated by the sky. And so I think look up, find something around you, and find that glimmer. Find your joy.
Can we add that before they do? Learn to bring yourself here and now.
Yes. That will bring you right here.
Yeah.
Like instantly. And take it a step further. If you find that glimmer, something around you that you notice that brings you that little spark of, that's awesome. Take a breath. Inhale, exhale, and you'll feel that stillness. You will absolutely feel it right here.
Yeah. Beautiful. Love it. How can people connect with Amy, Coach Amy? I'm going to have all of your information under this video, so show notes, so you
Okay.
can connect with her. She does offer coaching to anyone, any age, because our blocks to flow as a coach, she can offer to anyone, because if all of us are blocked, because in some way or another, right, we're work in progress.
That's
No
right.
one's ever done, right? I'm never done.
Right.
Never be done. So what we do and what she does is amazing to move you from that block, recognize it, bring awareness, alignment, activation, and then we take off.
Yes.
Then you achieve, and then you're in flow.
That's
And
right.
then you can
And it
achieve
feels really
anything.
good.
Yes, it does. It does. Thank you. So I will have all of her information below this video. So, Coach Amy, can you finish this sentence for me? Flow is?
Flow is connection. I think if you're deeply connected to what you're doing, the people you're with, your purpose, you're going to be in flow.
And even connecting, like you say, with these simple moments, right? Like even connecting to that, then you find
Yes.
flow, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're, just as a quick example, you can find flow anywhere. If you're in a conversation with the cashier at the grocery store, it could be very superficial and quick and without eye contact, and like you just check out and get your groceries and you go. Or you could look that person in the eye and really connect with that person. How are you? And with genuine curiosity, right?
Mhm.
And that instant of connection, that's flow. You're going
Yes.
to be in flow.
Yes, absolutely. So connection is flow.
Connection is
Connecting.
flow.
So keep connecting to yourself, to your surrounding, to other people, and find that glimmer, right?
Yes,
Little
find your
glimmers
glimmers.
every day, and you'll
Yep.
be in flow. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you. This was great.
Awesome. Thank you.
You've been listening to Blocks to Flow, where learning, living, and leading return to alignment. Keep reconnecting. Keep restoring. Keep rewiring your way back to rhythm. Discover more at holisticsuccesscodes.com and join the movement reshaping how we learn, live, and lead. Until next time, flow forward.